ecological reparation primarily means to me the circularity and circular flow. That is a key thing for me and for ecological reparation. For me, circularity is primarily about knowing and intervening into flows around or within your everyday life and infrastructures that support it. So in that sense, circularity is something like you about recreating your relationship with your infrastructure. My chapter is all about this kind of imaginary about the circular and how the role it plays in the reformation or experimentation with manufacturing infrastructures in DIY movements. So, and I think important point is not really, circularity is not something you can create, but also it's a kind of process of discovery. Because for one thing, if you want to create circular material flow, first of all, you have to know, existing material flow that supports your life and and also infrastructures that facilitate that kind of flows. But this exploration inquiry itself is a really difficult task, and your life is supported by numerous flows, and many of these flows are basically just invisible or too difficult to discern. Permaculturist interlocutors often talks about circularity as fundamental characteristics of ecological process or life itself. And but on the other hand, our modern consumerist life is far from circular. So, in particular, in terms of material flow. So, in that sense, if ecological reparation is about reconciliation between uh, our 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 modern life with ecological processes, we have to reintroduce circularity into our everyday life. I started working with social entrepreneur who has a background in some kind of business coordinating activity in Japanese traditional craft industry. So she's a kind of art and craft kind of person, and she has this new project called the Forest of Craft.
あなたが使うものは誰かが作ったもの。誰かが植えて、育てて、そして作ったもの。そのものづくりは数十年前には始まっていた。だけどその森は何万年も前から大地によって作られてきた。大地が動いて、鳥が舞い、川が流れ、土が重なり、微生物が働く。人がそこにいなくても巡っている。人は集い、働き、技を磨いた。
The way making and skills are not only for your own growing your own capacity, but also all about generating new sort of relationship and dependency. This vision of Japanese craft is particularly important to reintroduce this kind of dependency. into this vision of regaining skills. They are also dependent on natural cycles. In this context, if you think about skills, craft, technical capacities in this context, this is not all about, you become very strong agent so that you can survive, but it's all about reinventing your dependency with human and non-human adults, and also fitting this dependency into a new circular form.
You said that there are many different understandings of what it is, how it developed, what it's doing, what is its main orientation, where does it go from here, and so on. So, could you give us a brief overview of your understanding of this movement?
Global Fablab movement or maker movement, the maker movement in general is extraordinarily diverse, I think. So each countries or regions or cities has different take on this, and this is even closely tied with the state intervention in neoliberal economic development. This kind of tension between different trends and also this kind of diverse development, diverse paths of development is pretty interesting for me about Fablab activism.
More ecologically sustainable? Is there something there, an example of what would be making circular infrastructures? Is this something that you connect together or something that resonates with you?
For example, you can, this Dutch environmental consultant company called Metabolic created circular office park called Degrowth, and which is really interesting and place. It has really almost more or less full set of circular infrastructure from grey water treatment, composting system, solar panel, and off-grid, electricity system. Because of the scale and massive connectivity of current infrastructures, what circular infrastructure is really difficult question. If everything goes well, can be a prototype like the Kubel. What is important for me is that this kind of circular project is can function as a sort of exploratory device. It's a kind of experimental system inside out. So we create this small circular prototype, but this circular prototype kind of create a lot of conflict. So more you want to create circular economy, more you find your entanglement is with existing linear infrastructures. So in that sense, circular infrastructure as we have now prototypes to generate questions about infrastructures. And because infrastructures usually remain invisible, this kind of raising questions and creating conflict or maybe friction is very, very important to explore and experiment with our relationship with environment. In a sense, we have to scale up so that we have in order to fight climate change. So in that sense, scaling up from prototype to larger infrastructure transformation is important. We are really in ecological trouble because we have been scaling up for the past 200 or 400, 500 years. We are in a crisis of scaling up in a sense. And we really need to scale down. Downscaling means, returning to particular situation or location you are in, and also recreating new relationship with human and non-human partners in that particular location.